saving money, and always a fun time to cover a different topic to try to help you save more. So tonight we are going to talk all about, I guess the dreaded B word, but budgets, trying to get more into savings, some things that you could do to try to just in general cut some expenses and put more aside. I think that's everyone's goal this time of the year. I had planned and told you guys last week we would talk drugstores. And then the more I thought about it, I just didn't want to push off budgeting too far beyond the beginning of the year, because then you kind of feel like, we missed that boat. We're too late. And by the way, you're never too late to sit down and make a budget. It's like the person who doesn't go out and get a planner because January is halfway over and the planner started with January. You can still start using the planner in February, and you can still start budgeting whenever you want to start too, but it is a good time of the year to start. So I know that folks don't like discussing it, and you may already even have one, but it's still a great topic to just kind of recap and see what other people are doing, or to see how you could maybe just make some little changes in your expenses that would make a drastic impact to the amount that you can put aside each month. So thanks for joining me tonight. If you've got questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If your questions are totally off topic, I'm okay with that too. Wherever you want to go, we can talk drugstore deals. We can end up wherever we end up, but it's always fun to have a topic to come with and to discuss new things too. So that's where we're going to start off with. How about that? With budgeting and trying to get more into savings. And so I should also say thanks to everyone who is joining in tonight instead of watching a national football game, or maybe you're doing both. I don't know. But in the state of South Carolina, I feel like we're probably the odd people out for not currently having the game on, though my husband might prefer that, but he is being sweet and not watching it right now. So hey, Sharon from Virginia and from Wisconsin. Wow. Hello. Lots of folks all over the place. So as we dive in, I want to give you, first off, I've pulled a few links so that my husband can have them and be ready to stick them in the comments. It doesn't work whenever I try. They just come across and they break from my back end, so he handles all the links for me. Have off, it's just a link to a bunch of great resources from Dave Ramsey. In particular is a budget guide. So I'm going to have him share two. One is just his general resource page, and one is a budget guide. Now, before we go further, Dave Ramsey's great. His resources are great. I don't 100% agree with all of his concepts, and I don't know that most financial planners do. He's great for getting people out of debt, but financially, some of his advice is a little off in weird land for actually helping you save money on everything. So we're going to use his resources, but I'm not going to come across and tell you I'm not one of his I don't teach any of his classes. He's a great guy, but we aren't always on the same page. So we're going to use his resources for an easy base budget. I share this every time we discuss it because it is a great resource. So I'm going to pop this up and show you what I mean. First off, this is from his resource page, and this is really where I want you to go. Before we even start thinking about mapping things out, I want you to realize how much you're spending in various categories. So you really do have to have some kind of look as to where your money's going before you can sit down and create a budget. Because I could come up with all sorts of, hey, I think we should spend this much on the electricity bill. But if that's not what you're spending, that was a big old waste of time. So let's look at what you are spending, and then I try, if we can, the goal of a budget is to try to get them to fit somewhat in these percentages that he has mapped out. And I would agree with most of these percentages there. So what this means, I want you to sit down and look at where things are going. So I'm showing you these percentages for now. We're going to come back to that. And for a second, let's pause and let's talk about how to get your budget under control. So there are a number of budgeting apps, two that I would recommend, and I actually just shared a post of 5 apps that are great for managing your finances. So 2 of them are in there. Mint is one of them, and Clarity Money. So to discuss those 2, Mint is an app that you can put on your phone, but it's also desktop. And with Mint, it's owned by Intuit, who owns TurboTax. You can sit there and just auto-categorize everything. So the electricity bill is over here under utilities, and when you eat out, It's under eating out. You can't hide things, but it's a great way to quickly see where things are going. Mint is also great at auto-categorizing things for you. You just connect your bank. It's free. So that's the one that I would point you to. There are a lot of other apps and programs that will be great budgeting resources, but most of them are not free. Dave has one. It's 99 bucks a year. There's YNAB, which is You Need a Budget. Most of them have a fee to them. Mint is the one that does not. So that's where I would steer you first. If you want to get more advanced and you want more reports, go for it and go for one that costs money. But free is a good place to get started, to at least figure out where your money is going. So Mint or Clarity Money. Clarity Money is a new one. It's got rave reviews. It also will tell you where your money is going, but it has a side feature that Mint does not, and that is that it helps you to catch recurring payments that might be subscriptions, so that maybe you don't realize that you signed up for something and it's continually billing you. And as an example, for me, having a website, there are things that we've signed up for that I don't even think about, and they're a subscription and they come across, and it doesn't mean I'm going to cancel it, but everything costs money these days. And so today I got an email from PayPal that my annual subscription had come through on some plugin that we use on the back end of Southern Savers. Like, what? What are we talking about? And then I go over and I realize what it is. But it's things like that. So Clarity Money helps you find those. Doesn't mean it's going to cancel them, but it's going to ask you, hey, we found all these recurring payments. Do you want to continue them, or do you want to get rid of them? And it helps you to catch that and to hopefully save some money. Those are two that I would recommend. How does Mint make money? So Sharon, Mint's way of making money is that there are some upgrades that you can do, but it's really because they own TurboTax. Mint, there's a button that you can push. It auto flows all your data into TurboTax for you. And then they're hoping that in the end, you will use their TurboTax products. They're also hoping that maybe you're going to want more reporting and looks at things. Most of us don't. But if you wanted that you were already comfortable with Mint, you might be willing to take their QuickBooks version for your business. They still own Quicken and still run Quicken as well, which is a more elaborate version of Mint. So that's how they make money. Mint is just kind of their intro, bottom of the barrel, getting people in, but it is a great way for them to offer a free product and hopefully get people going. Let's see. Okay, to try to catch up on, and Jessica, you should be very excited if your mom owns Mint. That'd be pretty awesome. But yes, a lot of folks love Mint, and it's what we've used for a while. The only tricky part with Mint is that the reporting is kind of stinky. But if you're not wanting to look at lots of charts and graphs and I just want to know what I'm spending, then great. It's going to do the job. And that's where most of us are. So, you get pros and cons. It's free. And it's a great resource for being free. Okay, so once we figure out where our money's going, because we have to start there. We haven't even talked about, cutting people's coffee off. We just have to figure out where it's going. Then you're ready to start talking percentages. And that is what I showed you just a second ago. So when we really start to sit down, before we start to look at anything else, how are you fitting with percentages? So what this sheet is, and again, I'll make it as big as I can for folks. When you're looking at these percentages, is to say based on my total income. So if I'm making, let's just throw out $3,000 a month. You're making $3,000 a month. That's basically $36,000 a year. Not a lot of money, but we're going with a low amount here. So if you're making $36,000 a month, can you live on it? Potentially. But these are the percentages that you're aiming for. So I want to save 10%. For us, that would be, we're going to tithe 10% to the church. Or in charitable gifts, we're going to try to save another 10% in our savings account. Then when it hits housing, well, if I'm trying to live in a house with a $1,000 mortgage on a $3,000 a month paycheck, I'm kind of there. That's a third of my paycheck, but I got to be careful because there's some other things that can fall into that category. Dave puts that down in the insurance range. I would stick that back up in housing because I don't think a lot of folks think about your all the things that are in escrow for your house, your homeowner's insurance, your tax bills at the end of the year, keeping up with repairs and things like that that your house is going to need. That all needs to be in that housing category. And potentially that $1,000 mortgage on your $3,000 paycheck, you're really maxing it out once I put all those other expenses in there with it. We're potentially we're spending more than we really should be spending in that category. Now, am I telling you tonight to go sell your house? Your house is too big for your family. No, we're not going to go there. That's your decision to make. But it could be that you look at your budget and you say, you know what? We really don't need this car right now. We can't afford our current car. We need to get a cheaper car. Whatever it might be, that would be a pretty big way to potentially save a chunk on your overall monthly expenses. So these percentages are a great way to get you started to kind of see, how am I lining up with everybody else based on how much you're bringing in per month, and then how much you're spending in each of these categories per month. So this, not saying you have to hit those numbers, it's just giving you kind of a reasonable ballpark. What should I be aiming for? And you know, in terms of couponing, it's one of the biggest questions I get is, what is a good grocery budget for a family of blank? And people always give me their number of family members. It's a great question. It's a really hard one to answer. We all eat different foods. You know, how much are you willing to coupon and save? I don't know, but hopefully those percentages will help you. So we stuck that link in earlier. If you're joining on or you're watching after the fact, just look for all the links in the comments. And YouTubers, I will also try to make sure we post all the links below the video once we're done and it saves. So those are our percentages. And then we can jump in to just a quick start budget. That's another one of his resources that I do love. Not always in agreement with Sweet Dave, but I do love his resources. So quick start budget, to show you that one too. When you're looking at this, and I know I always try for folks that are watching on your phones to get it as big as I can. You've got a lot of categories here that I want you to make sure you're considering. And he's kind of telling you what to do, but you want to add up each of your sections, put in your total for that section. That's where you could go back and see where you are in your percentages. But why I love this sheet, and I promise we're going to get to the other questions, I'm seeing some come in too, but why I love this particular sheet is that it helps you to think about expenses that we don't think about all year long. And that is what can kill your budget. You're doing so good, and then you get the real estate tax bill at the end of the year, because for ours, it is always due the week after Christmas. If you aren't budgeting for that, you're in a hard spot. Now, most folks have that in escrow. We do not have our taxes or insurance in escrow. And depending on how much you put down or have towards your house when you purchase it, you don't have to escrow that either. We keep those in our own savings account so that we can earn interest off of them. Hopefully yours are in escrow for real estate taxes and insurance. That if they are in escrow, you're not going to be slammed, but you need to make sure that you factor them in. But the other one that a lot of folks don't, repairs and maintenance, you know, all of those things, they need to be budgeted for because things break. And if you aren't handy, then you have to pay not only to fix them, but for the person to fix them, not just the supplies. So it really is a great way to break down and to make sure you're not missing anything in these sections. So just sits there and maps out for you to come up with a quick, easy, put it on paper, what could we possibly live with? Remember, I can't go to this step until I've mapped what I'm currently spending, because it's great to come up with a plan, but if your plan isn't at all realistic, it isn't going to do you any good. Okay, so, and yes, so Laura, the link that we put in earlier to the Dave Ramsey resources, these are all here. So this is Dave Ramsey's quick start budget or monthly cash flow. They're the exact same forms. I guess he just wanted to give one a fun category versus the other, but they're the exact same form. So you can go either way that you want with monthly cash flow or quick start budget. Exact same form, and they're all on that Dave Ramsey useful forms link that we posted earlier. And he has others there too. You know, we don't need to get super overwhelmed here. We just need to get focused on a few things. My goal really for you guys, I can't sit down and map out certain categories for you, or tell you to move or tell you to sell your car. I'm not a financial planner on that side either. Anytime we talk finances, usually my husband's always chatting me. Please make sure, I need a legal statement for him to be happy. I'm not a financial planner. But I can tell you that when you look at your budget, if A and B are not meeting up, so what we're spending is more than what we are making, obviously we have to do something. We cannot live with spending being way more than what we're making. We have to make sure that we have a balanced budget or more savings. That's ideal. So the first categories that need to go are the ones that are not important. That's just the truth of it. Honestly, those categories are going to be entertainment, always. On the quick start budget, you'll notice they're really the very bottom of utilities for Dave in my boat, but those are the first things that most of us should be adjusting. Dining out, eating out, all of those by far, but also internet and cable and streaming. So, when he puts in this cable section, so many of us are proud that we've cut cable. How many things are you streaming lately? So cutting back all of that, figuring out what it is, you get a huge overwhelming moment, I think, once you realize, wow, we're paying for Amazon Prime and Netflix and this and okay, we got to cut some of those. So figuring out where those can go, I think those are going to be some easy ones for you for sure. And Pages, y'all are talking car insurance and other things too. Is it true that if you make a claim on your homeowner's insurance, it can raise the rate that you pay for it? Yes, that's the same with any sort of insurance. So you really need to consider how much you need to make the claim. If it's a home repair that is less than your deductible, definitely don't make the claim. It will just raise your insurance rate. It's the same with your car. We learned that the hard way with just windshield repairs because in our area, windshield repairs are covered by your car insurance, but one insurance company was counting that as claims. So here you've gotten some rocks on your windshield, and that's going to come back to hurt in the end. To move on into a few other categories too, we recently did a couple of different posts, and one in particular that I wanted to mention tonight, because as we talk budgeting, I think, folks get overwhelmed. Where do I start? How do I go about trying to cut out things and not going crazy? So one thing that I wanted to mention to you is the idea of making monthly goals. So not coming to your husband when you sit down and balance the budget and say, you know what, you're never eating out for lunch again. Instead, coming and saying, you know what, let's each make a monthly goal. And I'm willing to give up something and you're willing to give up something. They don't have to be the same thing, but we're each going to set a monthly goal. And what I mean by that is you're just going to do it for a month. And at the end of the month, maybe you will have started a new pattern and you'll be okay with that. But if not, then at the end of the month, you come up with something else to cut next month. So I mapped out, and we'll stick the link to this as well in the comments, mapped out 12 things that you could cut to try one a month or multiple a month for just a month. So you see folks that'll do like no spend months. That's really hard. I mean, we're talking about nothing that is discretionary for the whole month. This is just one item, or maybe two if you picked a couple at a time. Most of them are pretty straightforward, but it's just getting you to think about it. I would encourage you to think about these not only to make your budget not overwhelming, but also as a great way to compromise. So if you are having arguments over money, that you're both coming up with something that you would be cool with saying, you know what, I can do without that for 1 month. And I'm not going to force mine on you, and you're not going to force yours on me, but we're each going to come up with a way that we could try to cut something based on what we are currently spending, and hopefully that would help. So not eating out for a month, that's obvious, an easy one. Making coffee at home, not buying soda. This is a big one. Even eating out anywhere you are, sodas add up. One soda in a drugstore, $2 for a bottle of soda, and you're just running around and you think, oh, I'm thirsty and I'm going to grab something. Don't. They add up. So sticking with water, carrying a water bottle with you so that doesn't happen. Skipping no clothes for a month. For me, that's easy. Half of the clothes in my closet I think I've owned for like 6 years. So don't just say, yeah, I can do that one this month. You need to pick ones that are actually going to have an impact. So some of these aren't things that you already do. You need to skip them. But hopefully across this, you'll get some ideas from this list. So it's 12 things. One that we love as well is an eat from the pantry. If you can do it for a week, if you can do it for a month, do it. So the goal is we're not going to go in and try to buy a ton of groceries for the next couple weeks. We're going to try to eat what's in the pantry. I'm actually planning that for our family. Potentially next month, it's an eat from the freezer because we have got things that it's getting to where it's hard to tell what they were originally and they need to be eaten. So go through the list, find some things that you can cut, look at your budget, find some things to cut, but compromise through them. That would be my biggest one. Okay, now I've been talking for a while and I need to jump to people's questions, so I'm sorry if you've been hanging and waiting for me to answer your questions. I just kind of wanted to get all that through before we went back. So let's see. Andrew's got a question. Is it true at Walgreens that when you use an e-coupon, you can't use points to pay? My husband was told that this is a new policy. So we could get Paige to come in and answer. To my knowledge, there's not been a policy change for Walgreens on their points and their e-coupons. The real thing with using points and earning points is that if I needed to earn a certain amount to get a reward. So let's say this week you went in to do the Listerine deal. It's buy $10 worth of Listerine, get a $5 or 5,000 balance reward points back. If I used a deal like in Walgreens right now, let's see, or well, I know last week I had one. We'll see. I'll show you the app. Pull this back up. So if you're using the Walgreens app, in which, by the way, someone shared a really great tip with me, even I can still learn new things. If you're hunting for those fun coupons, they're always in one particular category. And I was actually hunting for them the other day and couldn't find them fast enough. But if you go up at the top, you'll see that scrolling up at the top, and you click on household, that's where they keep most of these fun coupons. But if I'm going in and I want to use that 20% off coupon right there on a $35 purchase, and I needed to buy, let's say I did the P&G deal, which is also a buy $25 worth of P&G products to get back 5,000 rewards. So I bought the $25 P&G deal and the $10 Listerine deal, but I used that 20% coupon. I would go below what I needed to have purchased, and I would end up not having enough to earn the rewards. So that is potentially what the store meant for you, Andrea. It's not these manufacturers next to them. I could use all of these others that I'm loading to my card. That is not going to affect the points. It is the store ones, that 20% off or a 5,000 bonus on a $10 purchase. I had that one last week. That was a fun one. That can end up messing up those rewards if you didn't purchase enough. So that might have been what they meant, but I have not heard of any other changes. Oh, go Paige! So that's kind of exciting. I think I would choose Aldi over Walgreens, but congratulations on a job change. Okay, can we talk about how to read a coupon? So Brittany, with printable coupons, let's go there. I can show you that one on my phone. Give me 2 seconds to pull up a printable coupon to give you as an example. Let's see, let's do it this way. Get coupons, pull this back up again. It's loading, give it a second. So if we'll clip these 3. Always print your coupons in multiples of 3. And then let's go print coupons. This is gonna pull up and you'll be able to see the print preview screen there. And we're gonna save it as a PDF just so that I can pull this up and show you too. Look, it changed back to color. I don't have a color printer. You wanna save on ink, don't have a color printer. Yes, that's great. So it's saved, and then I gotta go find it again. So hold on just a second. Where'd you go? There we go. Okay, so sorry guys, I'm pulling it all up. And okay, so now we're looking at coupons, Brittany, and we'll make them as big as we can. So looking at these coupons and how to read them, your expiration date's up here, your $1 off too, your fine print. If you're looking for the wording on coupons, oh, we don't need to highlight it. All the important information that you're going to need is on that first line. Limit 1 coupon per purchase is 1 per item purchased. So on this one, it's $1 off 2, meaning 1 coupon for both items. But then beyond that, it has a limit of 4 identical coupons per household per day. So I could print more of these, and I could use 2 of them if I bought 4 things of Clorox. That's fine. I could actually buy up to 8 things of Clorox and use 2 of these $1 off 2s if I really, really wanted to. That's the gist. So this coupon is good anywhere. If it wasn't, you would also see good only at in a store's name. Not a good at, it has to have the word only. So you will see some that say good at Walmart, but they're actually good everywhere. It is a manufacturer's coupon, and that's pretty much all the details that you need on it. Remember, we don't ever make copies of printables, so I just saved this as a PDF. I could technically print it more than one time. If I did, this barcode that's up in that top corner right there, it's different on every single coupon. So if I make a copy here or make multiple prints because I just saved this as a PDF, my second print is a copy. So do not do that. Your store might accept it, but your store will never get reimbursed for it. So since I have these up and can kind of give you that little soapbox talk, I will. Oh, look, I'm giving you the example, and that's the very next one. You see the redeemable at Walmart. It is not redeemable only at Walmart. It is just fine to use anywhere that you want. It was nice of them to give it to you. They're basically doing this. A little background information on this. Walmart requires stores to put a certain amount of their advertising budget into Walmart-specific ads, and this counts. So that is not a Walmart coupon, but putting Walmart's name on it counts. That's also why if I open up my Ibotta app, there are so many Ibotta offers that are Walmart specific. It is helping those brands meet their Walmart required advertising budget by putting out offers that are Walmart only, or in the printable sense, look to be Walmart only and really aren't. So hopefully that helps a little bit, Brittany. If you're meaning in terms of reading them on Southern Savers list, I can definitely break that down for you too. So let's pull up the Publix ad. It's always my go-to. And just look at one example. It does feel a little bit like Greek, and sometimes they feel a little long. But let's take this really long one here. We've got every General Mills cereal known to man spelled out there, but it's $1.50 off 3, $1.50/3, meaning $1.50 off 3 boxes of General Mills. This is every type of cereal allowed. SS, meaning that it was in the Smart Source insert on 12/15, or that's the date that you want to go look for it. So that's the breakdown. And if you're ever using the list on Southern Savers and you forget what those mean, then come up here and click the open box, and all of those abbreviations show up. So, and the Black Friday, I don't know why it's hanging. We've got some caching issues going on. So you can go check out Black Friday deals, but they're kind of old. So we'll try to get that to go away. So you can see all of your heading, your abbreviations right there, Brittany, and hopefully if that is kind of giving you some bogged down moments, just use that little cheat sheet. It's right there at the top of the site anytime you need it. Okay. So what about using a credit card, Brandon? Let's go back to budgeting for a bit. In terms of using a credit card for purchases, I think that that's fine. This is where Dave and I very much differ. Dave would say, you shouldn't even own a credit card. Credit cards are horrible. Credit cards are not horrible, nor is having good credit. Because if you would like to lower your car insurance, Dave doesn't tell you this, if you want to lower your car insurance, having good credit is one of the best ways to lower your car insurance. It's also one of the best ways to lower your life insurance. They pull your credit, and they use your credit score to decide how risky you are. So if you go the whole no credit cards, Dave Ramsey lifestyle, that's great, but it is going to hurt you in other sections. So use credit cards, but wisely. You pay them off. And guys, if you're concerned about that, there's a button on the credit card back end screen, pay off automatically every month. Click the button. Make it where I don't even have to think about it. I don't need to log in and pay the credit card bill. It auto pays itself every month, the full amount. That is important because if you're holding a balance, then it's not doing you any good. But I don't want to say like I'm we should all go cheerlead for credit cards, but there are definite benefits to using them And we do. All of our expenses outside of the house go on credit cards. We do not use a debit card. We only use credit cards. And that is a whole nother reason, debit cards, in terms of the security. If your card gets stolen, they're stealing your real money. And yes, you're going to get it back from the bank, but you're not going to have it in the moment while it is gone. And we've just had too many experiences family-wise, having to loan a sister-in-law money who had her checking account cleared out, and the bank then fighting her to give her money back. No, not going there again. So all of our expenses outside of the house are done, and shopping online, are done on a credit card and paid off every month. I would recommend getting a credit card with very fun perks. Get a credit card for perks that you're going to use. So my in-laws, my father-in-law loves Land's End and LL Bean. I don't even remember which one it is now, but they have a credit card to whichever one it is. And so he can get all the clothes that he loves. He's just a creature of habit. He wears those jeans and those pants. Great. Get a credit card that's going to give you perks that you can turn around and use. For us, all of our personal care expenses are on a Chase a card that gives you Chase rewards that you can turn around and use for airlines, for whatever you want. And then all business expenses are on a Marriott card. So we can have free points to stay in Marriott hotels if we travel. But that's great. And that's how we choose to use it. What great credit cards are out there? There's a lot of them, but I do recommend using them, but just using them wisely. So hopefully that helps. However, in terms of budgeting, to plug that back into budgeting, yes, it's all getting put on a credit card, but it still has a budgeting category. So you still need to put it under, household repairs or whatever those purchases were, and have Mint or whatever program you're using. Make sure that you have your credit card, just like if your checking accounts coming into your budgeting app. Make sure you have your credit card attached too, so that you can auto categorize those credit card expenses. You don't want just a bucket for credit card in your budget, because really those expenses are coming out of other sections. You've got to be able to categorize those too. Will your PMI drop off once you hit 80%? And generally, yes, if you're paying PMI insurance, as soon as you have paid down enough on your mortgage, you would no longer need to pay PMI. In some situations, depending on the wording on your mortgage, you may actually have to refinance to make that go away, but not usually. So you would just need to talk to your mortgage company to make that PMI go away. Okay. So Amanda says, I'm currently 4 months pregnant and Dave recommends stopping paying any extra to debt to save for the baby. Do you have any other recommendations on how to save for baby or on supplies? So Dave needs to learn how to coupon, Amanda. I don't think that babies are that expensive. If you are truly couponing and getting the deals that are out there, they are not that expensive that you should be stopping your debt payments and really racking up the savings. Instead, if you're 4 months pregnant, you should start now buying every diaper deal that you can. And you know what? I'll put my husband on this one, but one of our top posts actually is how to stock up on diapers. And we'll find that and stick it in the links for you. But it's how many packs you should get for each size. Do that. By the time each of our children, so when my twins were born, they were my first. I didn't coupon. I didn't learn this until they were about a year old. Now they are going to turn 15 here soon. So y'all just start praying for us when the learner's permits come in a few months. But we started couponing when they were about a year old. So we've been at this for almost 14 years now. So for baby number 3, pregnancy number 2, baby number 3, 4, and 5, by the time they were born, I had all of the size 1s, all of the size 2s that we needed, and would start to buy deals on size 3s as I saw them as they were born and I got back into shopping. That's where I would encourage you to be. There's a ton of great deals. This week you could go to CVS and get Pampers for $4.50. You could go to Kroger and get Huggies for $3.70 at Kroger. So crazy good deals on diapers. Get stocked on those items. Other items they need, it's hard to know before a baby's born how well it's going to do breastfeeding or not breastfeeding. I do recommend going ahead and making sure that you're saved for your portion of the hospital bill, of course. But beyond that, their supplies is not as huge as the world might try to say, and definitely, make those baby registries and see what folks can give you for those large expenses is a big way too. Okay. Oh, and good. My husband just found the link for you, so I just see that one coming up in the comments. And then Christine says, any idea why all of a sudden I'm only receiving app-only coupons on my CVS app? Christine, my CVS app did that a couple of weeks ago, and once I closed out and reopened it, and just like a day later, they all showed up. So it could be just kind of a quirk going on in their system that they weren't showing up for a time, and then they reappeared. I'm scrolling through mine, but all of mine are there. I know, too, for me, the app-onlys, and I'll show you this. I'll pull this back up just so we're all looking at it together. But currently, so all the check marks are what I have loaded from last week. You should be saving them every Saturday. I did that as a Facebook and Instagram story to try to remind people this past Saturday night, and I had someone that said, could you do this every Saturday? I'm like, maybe, but people might get kind of tired of me constantly reminding you to save your CVS coupons. We'll see. But for me, the app-onlys have been towards the top of this list. So it could be that you have a lot of app-onlys and they're hiding. Now my app-onlys are all at the bottom, but this is everything that's new this week, guys. I'm still scrolling. So CVS coupons are definitely working. It just sometimes has quirks, and I would just kind of log off, close the app completely, make sure it's fully closed, and then here's all my app-onlys down the bottom. But sometimes they're at the top, and I've got to go through all of them to get to the new offers. If you're not seeing those, then log into CVS.com and go to Extra Care and see what's showing up there. It's the same offers on CVS's website as it is in the app, but the app-onlys are not there. So see what you're seeing online for them, and maybe that'll be better. And I know sometimes for other people, seeing all these offers makes your heart hurt. I have a lot of CVS store coupons. Go paperless. It's the best thing I can tell you. You're going to get a ton of store coupons if you go paperless. Okay, a few other questions here. My Sam's annual renewal is in February. We only opened it to get the $45 scan and go in deal. You don't want auto renew. So if you, Wendy, if you go into your Sam's account, you can go ahead and turn off auto renew right now in your Sam's account. Under my account settings, there's a button that just says do not auto renew. Check it and you're good to go. If you want to open a new account in your spouse's name, potentially you can. It depends. If your spouse was your second on the card this year, then they will say that he already has an account in mini store. So if he is not currently your second person on the card, you will be good. And he should be able to get a card in his name this current year. So you can kind of play that game if you want to. They are currently running a deal if you had two Sam's directly. That is basically another free membership. It's not as great as the one this past spring, but it's a whole bunch of free products. Okay, so Paige says, do I know anything about refinancing your mortgage? I currently have mortgage insurance fees in there and would like to refinance to get rid of that, but don't know where to start. So with refinancing your mortgage, Paige, I think hands down the first place to start is figuring out what your current interest rate is versus the current interest rates that are being offered. If it's not going to work out to be a win for you, then you really want to deal directly with them and see if they'll get rid of the fees without a refinance. Just dealing with their departments. Hey, I have 20% in equity currently. I do not want to do this anymore, or I've paid down the value of the mortgage, not even going equity. See what they'll do. If the interest rates are in your favor, though, hands down, the first place to start is finding the place that you want to go and get finance through. My recommendation there is to use a site like bankrate.com, and I'll pull it up so you can see. There's a number of sites that do this. Bankrate has always been my kind of I've used it so many times that I just tend to go here first. They are paid by the banks, so you don't have to go through their links if you don't want to. But if you click on mortgage loans, whatever you're looking for, it will sit there and help you figure out what the current rates are. So let's say that you decide you want to do a 30-year fixed refinance. Ideal would be a 20 or a 15, but we won't go there. Let's just go for the lowest payment overall, 30-year fixed. Then it's going to ask where you live, what your property value is. It's just plugging in all sorts of unique things for me. We'll go with this. I don't know. That's not where I live or my property value, but hey, we'll take their numbers. And then it's going to stick out what the current rates are in terms of the APR. And that's what you want to compare what you currently have, Paige, is can I get an APR that is lower than what I currently have? And potentially you can. They're still really low interest rates. They haven't changed over the last few years. And it could be a great time to refinance. You do want to make sure, and let me see, I don't know how big this is going to let me make it before it kicks into mobile mode. Mobile mode doesn't work so well on the phone. Come on. We need that to go away. Now it's just gone crazy. Okay, let me see if I can do that while I make this go away. There we go. So the one thing to compare on this APR when you're looking at various rates is whether or not we have points added. If you do, then potentially that's going to negate some of your savings because I'm going to have to pay that at closing. And the other thing to consider with refinancing is that you will have to pay closing rates again. So finding out from the various companies, what are their fees? We're going to have to get appraised again. It's like you're buying your house all over again. A little cheaper because you already own it and there aren't closing fees on the other side and there aren't buyer's agents and seller's agents at this point. But you're still probably looking at a good $1,500 or a tiny bit more to close just in fees. So we need to be able to come out ahead so that $1,500 is slowly taken care of out of the amount that you're now saving with a lower interest rate. That's the goal. If you aren't getting a lower interest rate, though, it's not going to be worth it in the end. And that's probably a longer conversation for another day. I'd be glad to try to spell it out for you too, Paige. If you want to send me just a chat directly, and I can try to give you some more advice on that one as well. Let me start that over again. We refinanced our house 2 years ago now because we had a adjustable rate mortgage that was starting to adjust. It was a 5-year fixed and then it started to adjust, and you have got to stop those. So if you have a mortgage like that, you're basically saying in 5 years, I know that I'm going to refinance. And that was definitely the case for us. So our hands were tied. We had to refinance and we tried to do it as quickly as we could. My husband's saying try 4 years ago. I guess time's gone a little faster than I think it has, but we had to. And so I can tell you just from that experience, it takes a few years to end up recouping the cost of those fees that you paid versus how you were going. And is lowering your mortgage a good option? So along those same lines, yes. If I can refinance and get, maybe if you're completely in debt and I need to pay off some bills, and you can go to a 30-year refinance loan, spread out what you currently owe over more years, and that gives you more savings, totally is going to help you. So here's a great way to look at it from me not being a financial planner, but financial planner advice. If your credit card, for example, is charging you 14% interest and you need to pay that off, and refinancing the house is going to charge 4% interest, this isn't a hard decision. I'm not telling you to roll your credit card debt into your house. I'm not telling you to do that. Do not do that. What I am saying is if you have the ability to refinance, you have the equity built up in the house, you could get rid of PMI, you could reduce some of those payments, take it to a 30-year fixed. You're borrowing money for a longer period of time, but at a lower interest rate than you're currently paying to borrow money from the credit card. Hopefully that makes sense. It's basically which one of them is worse. Now, this is where Dave and I disagree, because when Dave comes to tell you to pay off debt, he's going to tell you to go with the smallest amount, not paying a lick of attention to the interest rate. And the interest rate totally should matter because that's a really big chunk of money at 15, 20% interest, whatever your interest rate might be on your credit card. Crazy amount of interest that hopefully you're not paying. But if you got yourself in that boat, if it hadn't been for rainy day savings, we would be there this past year with an appendix surgery and a second hospitalization for me. And then my husband had to have some skin cancer removed on his face. It was a bad year. 2020, my goal is let's just not see a doctor for the whole year. No doctors. That might be a bad goal, but I would really love that. So if you need to go there, Kentucky Nana, I would totally say yes, as long as you're not kicking yourself in the foot with a higher interest rate or something that long-term is going to be really hard on your budget. It's only if it's going to help out the budget. Okay. Let's see. Yes, and Julie, you're right. So kind of mentioning that too, that when you refinance, you have to pay things like closing fees that cost you money, and you'll get rid of the PMI, but you want to make sure, you need to make sure that those fees are going to balance out. You can roll those fees into the cost of the mortgage, so that is good to know too for you, but hopefully that will help. And Julie was recommending Quicken Loans as crazy easy to use to refinance. We ended up going through a mortgage broker. They just had a super good interest rate that nobody else could touch. So that's where we went, but hopefully that helps. Let's see. And then in regards to applying for mortgage reduction, or is refinance an option, you owe $20,000. So I'm going to guess you mean you owe $20,000 due to like health issues. It's going to, what I would recommend in this situation is probably to consult a true financial advisor. Most of them don't even charge for their services, and see what they have to say. You could definitely talk to, loan consultants, see what they can do in terms of what you owe them. But in the end, if you've already filed for bankruptcy, there's the potential that your interest rate might be out of the off the charts with having a poor credit score, or they might not even want to touch it. So you're going to need to just sit down with a bank, with a financial planner, and see what your options are there, because you're in a different, kind of a whole different ball game when you're dealing with a past history, and it's there. It's going to live on your credit history for a while, and getting them to see, you know what, I'm not that person. We're doing better, but getting them to kind of agree with the risk. That's going to be a face-to-face discussion and figuring out what they're willing to do. And they don't charge. So financial planners typically are making their money off of what they hope to help you save and get into some investments. And then they're going to make some money as you buy and sell investments. Now, you may be like decades away from that, but most of them will still gladly meet with you and give you some advice. So definitely sit down with them, because most don't charge. Okay. To jump out, let's see, and jump back in. Joy has a question that's off topic. I have trouble printing coupons on coupons.com and RetailMeNot. Coupons.com finally said when a browser prints 10 coupons, they kind of get cut off. No response from RetailMeNot. So Joy, the first few things that I always tell folks when they're having trouble printing is to switch web browsers. So if you're on Firefox, switch to Chrome. If you're on Safari, switch to Chrome. I only pretty much use Chrome and Safari. The other thing that you could do, Joy, is exactly what I just did earlier on this Q&A. So pulled up coupons.com. Let me see if I still have it up. I do. It's massive because I've hit my make it big button a few times. But pulling it up and not printing it to the printer. So if you're having issues with it not wanting to go to the printer, let's see, let's just go ahead and grab all these Avenos. I meant to grab them earlier. Then hit the print button. The print preview screen is going to come up. I am not going to send this to my printer. My printer is actually out of toner, and I just ordered some more on Amazon. I am going to do this save as a PDF. And it is. It's going to save it as a PDF. Now, don't make more than one copy of it when you do print it. But at this point, I don't have to worry about, oh, no, let's not save it as the exact same file. Let's save it as Aveno and hit save. I don't have to worry about the printer screwing up now. When I open up that file, it is my printable coupons, and I can print this. If the printer runs out of paper, I'm not screwed up. As long as I only print one copy, I am not screwed up. So I would try that route, Joy. If you can get it to pull up and give you that option to save as a PDF, do it, and it's going to take away that frustration that the printer didn't receive it or something's not talking, and hopefully make that a little bit easier for you. But web browser first, print to PDF second. Hopefully that'll solve it right there. And then making sure, this is a big one too, that you are allowing cookies on your computer. So if anyone's having issues with coupons.com constantly wanting to text you, then you are not allowing cookies on your computer. Cookies are not evil. They have made you feel like they're evil. They're not all evil. They're keeping you logged in. And it is coupons.com's way of making sure that you aren't trying to print 42 million of one of the same coupons. They're using a cookie to restrict you to the number that you are allowed. We use a cookie on Southern Savers to keep you logged in so that every time you come to the site, you don't have to re-log in before you make a shopping list. You stay logged in. So that's the purpose of them, and make sure you're accepting those too. Let's see. Paige says, we just found out with my new insurance at the job, when it starts, we can't see the same doctor since they don't take our insurance anymore, and we really don't want to change doctors. They said that we can't even keep going to them and just not use the insurance, that it would be insurance fraud. Do you know if there's any way that we might be able to change our insurance so that we could see the same doctor? So here's the tricky part, Paige. If we were in the fall, yes, you could have denied your work insurance and gone on the marketplace and bought your own individual plan. We are not in open enrollment for insurance right now. So to make an insurance change, you need to have a baby or change jobs, lose your job, get a new job, get married. It's big life changes, and that's it. Outside of that, they will not agree to allowing you to buy a new policy. You will not be eligible to buy a new policy. So, and I know that stinks. So with you not going to the same doctor, you could choose to be a cash pay at your current doctor if you wanted to. That is not insurance fraud. Your doctor just has to know that you're cash pay, and they cannot bill your insurance. There is no insurance fraud there. They aren't billing an insurance company. It doesn't matter. You are going to end up paying more out of pocket, obviously, and if something larger happens and you end up in the hospital, that doctor is not going to be able to follow you in the hospital. They're not going to be able to be your doctor in the hospital, because then the insurance is going to pick up you're in the hospital, and the insurance is going to want a doctor that they can pay for. And that's a really tricky situation to then be in crisis mode and not know the person that is now treating you, and them not know you. So as a nurse, I'm putting on all my hats tonight, but as a registered nurse, I would want you to, at least for the next 12 months, make a connection with a local doctor that somewhat knows you. So maybe you go to, just for your physical this year, you go to a new doctor and you make a connection with a new doctor. Keep your old doctor if you need them for various things, but make that connection somewhere else in case something really bad came up, so that you would have that doctor to follow you in a hospital if you needed them. And the new job, it does not count as a major change because we're outside of enrollment window. So if you got the new job in November, I'm guessing, and not in the last month, then it's not going to count either. And kind of crummy on that. Let's see. And you've already elected at your insurance, so you'll have to you can make that decision, cash pay or choosing the insurance, either way you want. But it's still not fraud, I promise. So whatever they're telling you, you can still see your doctor. You're just gonna have to pay out of pocket to see them. Okay. So to jump back in, because we've been all over the board tonight, those are great questions though. We hit budgeting for a bit. We did share some links at the very beginning and pop back over and just show you these again. So super easy, quick start budgeting guides. What I want you to do, like homework, if you have not ever done this before, you've never sat down with your budget, I want you to start by first plugging in your budget into Mint, or just put it in a spreadsheet and start to figure out where is it going, and then sit down with this sheet of paper and figure out, okay, based on where it went last month, How do we think we could make some changes? There are some categories here that are unchangeable. So we've talked about refinancing, selling your car. Those are big changes. So in my book, housing and mortgage, you almost want to say unchangeable there without involving lawyers and closing fees and all that. It is changeable, but it is not a short-term changeable. So we want to deal with what is changeable. Can we lower some insurances? You should totally be calling all of those bills and renegotiating them. This is the perfect time of the year to call your car insurance, your health insurance. Well, depends on what you do for health insurance, but all of those little tiny bills and saying, hey, we pay for this every single year. Can we bring this rate down? Even your monthly utilities, there's not a ton that you can do on electricity. There is budget billing, getting put on budget billing, going through all of them. Internet, phone, every single one of them. Just spend the next week on the phone. What can we do to lower those bills? Then, once you've done that and you've adjusted all the bills you can, then what are you spending that is truly discretionary? We ate out, we got new clothes, we got books. Those did not keep you warm, they didn't feed you, they didn't give you electricity. Those were discretionary, meaning you had a choice to make them. They were not a need, they were a want. Those are the things that are the easiest to change. So let's adjust those next in your budget, little bits at a time. The goal here, so why we want to do this, is to pay off debt. But if you don't have debt, it's to put more in savings. We should all have a rainy day fund. A lot of people will say it should be 6 months of your income. That's a lot of money. And most of us are not going to magically get there. So what I would do is set a goal for yourself. For 2020, let's try to get $1,000 in savings in a rainy day fund and keep it there. That would be awesome. Whatever your goals can be. So don't go huge. Don't sit there and go, oh, they want me to have 6 months of my salary. I got to somehow get $15,000 sitting in a savings account. Just chill out. Let's take it one bite at a time, because one bite at a time is much more doable than some massive amount of money that isn't even going to be plausible for most of us anytime soon. So little tiny bit, as much as you can, and lovely life. I totally get you. It is hard to budget as a single mom, and I'm glad that you're couponing. So even for you, one bite at a time, one little bit that you think you can adjust and you can handle. And then, I would also encourage you, I don't know how old your kids are, but getting your kids on board. So our kids, we don't eat out a ton, but I almost cringe that kids' meals in Chili's or restaurants like that include a drink. Because the fact that they include a drink, when you go somewhere else and they don't include a drink and you have to convince your kid to drink water, I hate that argument. Yes, you're going to drink water. I am not paying for a soda. But having them on board, the 4-year-old's the only one that's not on board here. She will always whine about it, but she will learn. Having them on board is a huge help, because then they're on board. They know why mama is making them drink water, or sometimes they know why mama's making them all split a whole bunch of chicken nuggets instead of a kid's meal. And we're on board and they get it, and they also see what you're doing. You're telling them outright, we are trying to save money. And this isn't just single mom advice. This is everybody. Having everyone in the household realize, we need to save money. We're in a rough spot. Don't stress your kids out. They don't need to know that you can't pay bills or anything to that matter. But we were very honest with our kids this year. Like, hey, we've got some really big bills and we need to pray about it, and we need to really be watching what we're spending, and then coming back to them and telling them, hey, we really did it, guys. We totally were able to pay that bill. Or they'll cheer with you. They are your cutest, smallest little cheerleaders in your life. So get your kids involved, not to a stress point, because they will. I told she's 7 now, but told her one time about some friends or distant friends that we knew that had a house burned down. And I'm pretty sure she prayed for like 9 months that our house would not burn down. So they can only handle so much. But you should definitely get them on board with anything that you can, so that they know why. First off, you're limiting them to water only. but then they can cheer along with you and encourage you to spend less too. Like, no, I can't get those shoes, guys. We are trying to reduce our budget. So another way that we do this with our kids too, by the way, guys, we are totally Goodwillers. Anytime that we have date night, we go to Goodwill. Just every time. If you happen to see my husband and I in Goodwill, we're on date night, just so you know. But we usually end up grabbing things for the kids, and so they are eager. We had date night last week. We have grandma nearby, so if your next question is how in the world can we afford date night, it's because grandma is nearby. So thank you, grandma. But coming home, got $1 shoes for the 4-year-old that look almost brand new, and a new cute American Eagle coat for a 14-year-old. Goodwill it, guys, and get your kids involved. They are totally cool with the fact, you went to Goodwill, and what did we bring home? That's part of it. It's just everyone being on the same plan and being okay that no, it's not brand new American Eagle, but it would never be brand new American Eagle anyway. So at least you got a coat, and they get that because that's just been how we've been with them for so long. Let's see. Trying to make sure I'm not missing anybody's questions. Oh yes, thank you, Matt, for that reminder. I meant to remind everyone too, speaking of the chicken nuggets, do not forget, if you open up your Chick-fil-A app today, I shared this in my Facebook story and my Instagram story as well so that folks wouldn't miss it. But if you open up your Chick-fil-A app, the first thing that you will see in your Chick-fil-A app is that they are doing a national giveaway today for an 8-count chicken nuggets or a kale crunch side. Please go Nuggets here. And you have a month to use it. Now, some folks are saying that this is, you must open it today. Chick-fil-A actually on their page is saying that it's going to be there all month. So I don't know whether you have to open your app literally today, but you might as well. Get the Chick-fil-A app and open it up, create an account if you don't already have one. We totally have an account. And then you're good to go for you've got the whole month to get there and get an 8-count chicken nugget or kale crunchy side on them. So yay. Thank you, Matt, for making sure we did not miss that one. Just completely free Chick-fil-A deal for everyone. And a fun way to end it there too. Let's see. And yes, Brittany, I do have Instagram. It's at Southern Savers. So my handle is the same everywhere you go, at Southern Savers on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them, YouTube. We tried to go across the board. So Kelly chiming in on suggestions here. I have no credit, only a $600 a month income, and am budgeted to major bills and have internet, but nothing else. It leaves me about $250 a month for a family of 4 for groceries. Any suggestions? So Kelly, on that, hands down, my first suggestion would be to not be ashamed or at all afraid to hit the local food bank because you qualify. So let's see what they can give you that's going to help to meet that budget a little bit better. Depending on your food bank, they're going to tell you how often you can come back, but a number of them, it's once a week or once a month, and depending on your family size as well, I would definitely start there. It is okay. That is why it's there. And then it would be to really start to hit some of these super cheap deals as much as you can. So we talked about that a little bit last week. If you can go back and watch last week's Q&A, it's the general concept of buying it when it's on sale and buying enough of it to last you until it's back on sale. This isn't going to work for you for everything. On a super tight budget, I'm going to need to just stick to the bare bones basics. But when I see some crazy good cheap deals, grabbing them. And grabbing enough of them to get me through until they come back on sale in 6 weeks. I would also start to reduce your diet a little bit. We're not talking, no meat at all, but I probably would go and start getting more protein from your beans and whatnot over meat in every single meal to try to cut that back as well for a little bit until you can hopefully build up what's in your pantry and be spending a little less on dry goods so that you have a little extra to spend somewhere else. And yeah, thank you, Deborah. So the other one would be to look at on the Southern Savers lists. Each store has a $1 or less list, and to look at that $1 or less list so that you can sit there and just quickly find the cheapest items. So that is this tab right here for me on Publix. but it pulls all, I don't need both of the weekly ads, so pick one of the Publix weekly ads for right now since the preview is already up. But it pulls all the deals that are $1 or less or the super, super good deals just to that list. So just look at that list if you want versus looking at the Publix ad and the unadvertised and this flyer and that. That's a lot of lists. So just look at the dollar or less and go through and try to hit some of those top items that you will use and that your family needs so that you're getting them at their best price. Definitely never missing money makers too. That's a big one. Is going to be a big help. And Sandra, yeah, churches. So finding out churches, food banks, kind of reaching out to folks that are in the community to see how they can help. Potentially also you may qualify for WIC and for other programs that are out there too. So just taking advantage of them. That's why they are there. And I think most folks are very glad that we have the EBT system to help folks that are in a rough patch. That's okay. That's why it's there. So use it and take full advantage of it. Okay. And yes, you can. So all the coupons are on that dollar or less list, Brittany. You can use coupon. They're just the top deals. That's all that dollar or less list is. So hopefully that helps answer that one too. Email-wise, the best email is jenny@southernsavers.com. That's my go-to email. I'm not always very good at it, though. I get a little overwhelmed, and email ends up taking a side little bench for a while till I get there. Let's see. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. We're there. I know there are still some questions coming in. So if you send me a Facebook message for those of you on Facebook, or Brittany, send me an email and I will try to get your email answered too. Then, I will gladly continue helping offline as well. We hit a lot tonight. So if you're joining in late, there are a lot of links that we put in the comments to resources for getting your budget started, apps that we mentioned to recap as well, Mint and Clarity Money as two great free resources for organizing your budget. You have to do that first before you can start to map out what you want your future budget to look like, and then definitely take advantage of those free Dave Ramsey resources to try to get your budget toned down and refined a little bit. So we'll jump back in on next week back to drugstores and how to shop the drugstores and the deals. I did head to both drugstores today and shoot videos. And I will tell you, it is a fun week at CVS with big money makers on hair care, free oral care, a whole bunch of things. Walgreens is a much shorter video, much shorter list. So I would definitely hit CVS if I were you, but there's still free toothpaste and free toothbrushes in Walgreens too. So fun deals. If you head over, they're all on the list. So pull up the CVS list or the Walgreens list on Southern Savers and you will see them. So thanks for joining me tonight. Head off and finish watching the national championship game if you want to. And make sure to share this with any friends that are trying to get their finances in order for the new year. And definitely tell them to join in with us next week as we talk drugstores, because it is a fun game to start playing. So you guys have a great week and I will talk to you again soon.